Hey, Drew, guess what?
What?
We're in an advertisement.
Well, that is neat.
Anchor has asked us to help advertise the platform we use for this very podcast.
Using Anchor has made it really easy for us to distribute our podcast across almost every streaming service and has helped us grow to the point we're at now.
Yeah, thanks, Anchor. You're the best.
If you have any questions about using Anchor, please reach out to us. We'd love to share our personal experience with you and help you get started doing your own podcast.
All right, let's start the show.
Hey folks, this is Chris. Before we start our episode today, I wanted to take a moment and talk about something that was pretty important to me. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and as some of you may know, 1 in 5 Americans will suffer from some sort of mental health issue this year. As someone who has coped and struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life, and is familiar with the highs of feeling too much and the lows of being completely numb, I've got some great news. 4 of you are completely safe, so you can ignore the rest of this PSA. But on top of that, 1 in 25 Americans will suffer from some sort of significant mental health issue this year, such as schizophrenia. I've been lucky enough, I suppose, to be surrounded by amazing mental health professionals my entire life. And because of my upbringing, I've had more access to care and tools that I needed for coping and leading a relatively productive and healthy life. I recognize that others are certainly not as fortunate as me, especially in this circumstance. You may have noticed some thematic overtones to our podcast. Drew and I are unabashed in our admiration of food and beverage professionals who operate and hold themselves to their own personal standards of excellence and are transparent about how they operate. With that being said, while most of the world has found our industry in vogue and glamorizes some of us on TV and in movies, most of us are left without advocates for our welfare. And in most cases, whenever we request support, we are just told to get a better job. I'll leave the obvious societal and logical fallacies alone for right now. But I do want to say to all the misfits, the weirdos, the night owls, people pleasers, people who get itchy behind a desk, the leave your shit at the door and smile for your guests, passionate industry pros out there who might be listening. We see you, we hear you, and we are you, goddammit. And while the rest of the world might not see your value, we admire it. It's because of that we wanted to share a handful of resources for you or a loved one that might be in need, that people just might not know are available to them. As I'm recording this, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, has announced that all healthcare providers and insurance policies must make healthcare free to essential workers. That is huge. This is the first time we're ever seeing this in the history of the U.S. as far as I know. And anybody in New York State needs to take advantage of that. Second, here in Sacramento is the Verity Project. It was started by a friend of mine who owns South Restaurant. This is for homies who might not have the income or the access. It is therapy at low to no cost. $10 for a group session, $40 for a private. The rest of the cost is completely taken care of by the restaurant. And this is simply because they feel the same way that we do, which is we don't want to leave homies out in the cold who need help. Also, UCLA has launched an online resource of articles and videos with coping mechanisms and what have you. You can find them at ucla.edu/stand-together. On top of that, there's covidmentalhealthsupport.com. All spelled as one word. It's operating nationally and is there to help find therapy and with supplemental articles and advice. Virusanxiety.com, a project by Shine, a self-care app to help through these uncertain times, has provided resources for anxiety and mental health in this global climate of uncertainty. All of these groups and web pages offer something a little different, and we strongly suggest that anybody just look and find something that's exactly right for them. There's a lot of people that you can reach out to, especially community health centers, which usually offer sliding scale fees. That's, again, low to no cost therapy or other help that you might need. As someone who lost a good friend to suicide a few years ago, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the National Suicide Hotline number. That is 800-273-8255. Again, that is 800-273-8255. I've had a few really good friends who volunteered for the hotline over the last few years, and please believe me when I say that you don't need to be in crisis to call. If you just need to hear a friendly voice, they are there for you. Please don't hesitate. We all have some really good and well-intentioned friends who offer a friendly ear and who eagerly ask us to call them and not to be afraid. The problem with that is that when we have something real that we're dealing with, or we don't even have the words for what it is that we're dealing with, there's no way that they can help us. They themselves are not equipped with the tools. That's why I wanted to take a moment before our regular show to let you all know that there are people out there who understand and get it. If you have information on more resources for low to no cost solutions, therapy, whatever, please reach out to us. You can leave a voice message for Drew and I at anchor.fm/goodbottlepodcast/message. Again, anchor.fm/goodbottlepodcast/message. Just let us know so we can continue to share and take care of our homies. Until then, we'll just settle for nerding out on the industry, sharing stories and hopefully a few laughs. Thanks for allowing me this moment. And now onto our show.
In a galaxy far, far away, two men decided to start a podcast, and maybe 3 people started listening. Then a couple more people. Then it was a small group. This is that podcast. Welcome to the Good Bottle Podcast. I am your host, Chris Sinclair.
And I'm his reluctant co-host, Drew Garrison.
I knew you'd like that. Hey,
So you called
happy
it-
May the 4th.
Yeah, it's May the 4th, and so it is appropriate. And I'm drinking tequila tonight because it'll probably be released on the 5th, which is Cinco de Mayo. So
That's right.
we're really just kind of hitting all the bases. But so in your intro, you said you called it a podcast, or that's what it sounded like.
Oh, podcast. That's my East Coast accent coming out.
So, did you ever watch, or did you watch the Netflix special "Oh Hello" with John Mulaney and Nick Kroll?
No.
Okay, so they play these older gentlemen in this like skit that they used to do on the Nick Kroll show. It was called "Too Much Tuna," and they would prank people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
remember they would prank people with too much tuna. Then that turned into a Broadway show, and it's this whole different thing. Well, they just did a podcast during for the quarantine, and it is so goddamn funny. And
Oh, no.
they call it a podcast because they like just totally botch words all the time. And there's so many times that I listen to it, and it's 8 episodes, and they're roughly around like 20-25 minutes, so you can kind of get through them pretty quickly. And it is one of my favorite things ever. It's definitely been a highlight of the pandemic, is listening to the Oh Hello podcast.
Oh, hello, podcast.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So not to plug other podcasts, but go check it out.
I will. It sounds like a great way to occupy my drive to work.
It's a lot of like deep belly laughs. So you should enjoy it. What are you drinking, bud?
I am drinking Benedictine on the rocks.
What? You're such
Yeah.
a bartender. Oh my god.
It's fucking delicious.
And an old
It is
one.
the goddamn. I am an old bartender. That's right. Yeah. Fucking nectar of the gods, man. It's fucking great.
For our listeners at home, what is Benedictine?
No one knows? Maybe that's the easiest way to say it. It's a French herbal liqueur sweetened with honey, made by Benedictine monks. No one knows the recipe, not even the people who make it. There are like three master blenders, I guess. Master, I don't know what their title is. I feel like maybe I should know, but and each monk, each master has a third of the recipe. Very similar to chartreuse.
I was about to say, like,
And
this is heavy on the chartreuse train, is what.
yeah, it's the same because it's the same discipline, it's the same tradition. Catholic monks making dope booze because they can, because that's a vice that's allowed in the Catholic Church. So if they're going to do it, why not spend hundreds of years figuring out how to do it better than anybody else? So at least for Benedictine and chartreuse, they fucking nailed it.
And they're still in there. Are they still producing in the exact same way?
Yep, as far as I know, I haven't heard otherwise. It is just friggin' spectacular.
Because they're owned by Bacardi.
They are owned by Bacardi, but usually that something like that, it has to do more with funding and distribution rather than control of ingredients.
No, I know, but I'm just wondering. It's just kind of like, all right, guys, we've got you more. You got into more markets than you've ever been in before. We need to kick up production. You got to share that recipe, or like modernize it, or
I doubt that, because it's not like the Catholic Church needs more money.
But yet they keep asking.
And yet they keep asking, yeah. But Benedictine's been around since 1510-ish. So,
Do you want me to correct you right now? Or do you
please. Yeah, please correct me.
I guess maybe if you're talking about Benedictine in general. I'm just looking at I'm looking at a website right now for it. It's called Wikipedia. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, what is it?
It's a place of resources. And in 1863, Alexandre Legrand developed a recipe for a herbal liqueur.
Oh, well, definitely don't believe me on the 1510 then.
Yeah.
It's just what it says on the bottle.
I wonder if, this might be just kind of like a general overview. I don't know. We should have fucking looked into this.
Well, so the question is
there are layers here.
What do you believe? The marketing on a bottle or Wikipedia?
Wikipedia. Wikipedia has sources.
Look, man, all I know is this is delicious and old. And that's kind of, until I get there and I can talk to people who make it, I've never had a Benedictine brand ambassador come talk to me. Have you ever met one?
Well, I think I don't even think it's made by monks.
Benedictine?
There is no mention of that here.
Oh, Chris.
Your story was awfully close to green chartreuse. Are you sure you just weren't assigning it to the same story?
No, I was. Look, man.
Actually, no. Here we go. Here, when it talks about the recipe, it is a guarded trade secret, known to only 3 people at a given time.
There you fucking go. Jesus Christ.
So there's that.
God damn it.
I think the inclusion of the church is something that maybe it was some Catholic guilt in you that you're trying to give them more credit than they need.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. That's probably my grandmother coming through me and ask me to go back to church.
Yeah, because
I never even did when she was alive, so that's okay.
Yeah, the history here is some old medicinal recipes that he had acquired from a religious foundation. So there's some, there's a little bit in there, but it was really developed by monks at the Benedictine in Normandy.
That's what I'm saying. See?
But they're not still involved.
Well, that's not my fault.
It's kind of a blurry history.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you corrected me, because the last thing we want to do on this podcast is really allow for misinformation to continue. We are all about proper information and facts. And I apologize to our listeners for spreading, a good story.
Better fall on the sword for that one. You're fucking.
Yeah, yeah.
You fucking liar. Good for you.
I still stand by that it's delicious and nectar of the gods.
They have some cool like posters and stuff, like advertising posters.
I love old marketing posters, like from old Fernet posters are great. Old Chartreuse posters, old Aperol posters. All those old advertisements are great.
The Lemon Heart ones with the skinny man.
Yes, those are fantastic.
Yeah, those are super cool. People go look up old advertising for booze. Okay, do yourself a favor.
Yeah, it's a good time. Drew, what are you drinking? Is it made by monks?
It's you know what? It's not made by monks, but this person does have a little bit of tradition in their family.
Are you sure?
Well,
did you check Wikipedia?
I don't think. I think it's too new. Wikipedia doesn't have any sources on it yet.
Okay, what is it?
It is Lalo Tequila, and
that is new.
It is new. Oh, here we go. Here's a picture. So their tequila is named after our founder, Eduardo Lalo Gonzalez, the nickname given to him by his grandfather. Do you know who his grandfather was?
I do, but why don't you tell the people?
Okay. Don Julio Gonzalez. You might be aware of that brand, Don Julio. They're kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah.
So basically, what Lalo had decided to do with a friend of his was to create a truly pure Blanco tequila.
All right, so stop reading from the website, and does it add up?
You know what? It actually is really good. I actually really do like it. And they actually put a point of emphasis on it to say that they don't add additives, which I think is really interesting and
That's
really cool part. So as we both know, tequila can be 100% agave, but it can still have additives in it, which means there could be some sort of coloring agent, there could be some sort of sweetener. As long as it only is up to 1%, then it's totally fine. You can still call your tequila 100% agave, pure agave.
Right.
Now, 1% doesn't sound like a whole lot, but of course, if you scale that up to thousands upon thousands of gallons of tequila, that 1% can be pretty significant, and often is pretty significant. This one, again, kind of going back to, the 100% agave stuff, whatever, but the fact that they mentioned that they're additive free, that's pretty unique within the industry right now, especially when it comes to newer brands,
Definitely. I mean, they're as we experience with the Rocks tequila, they're usually saying things that tend to be market friendly rather than brought to us by tradition. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's good. So right now they only have a Blanco, which is another good sign, right?
That's a great sign.
That they're not just, like, oh, we had these reserves sitting. It's like, no, we're starting this brand because apparently it started as just like a small project. Maybe it's like one of those things that's like, hey, Lalo, your home tequila is pretty good. You should sell this to other people. And that's what happened. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It comes from, hold on a second. I just pulled up.
I will say while you're looking that Don Julio is still one of my favorite brands. I know it's a huge brand. I know you used to work with the brand, but I have a very special place in my heart for Don Julio. I think it's a fantastic tequila.
No, I think it is too. I mean, I'm actually tomorrow. I'm going to be hopefully picking up some different marketing items from them, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, cool.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Don Julio. I mean, it really kind of kicked off my love for agave. Now, is it a go-to for me now? No, I think as my palate has changed, Don Julio has become a little too sweet for me.
Sure.
And I think that has to do with potential of additives being used. Now they don't confirm or deny it, but I think when you drink it, you can kind of be like, right, this is just a little too sweet.
Do
But
you think
great brand.
that's their Blanco or across all their SKUs?
I think they do it across the board.
Do you?
Absolutely.
I seem to feel like it's more on their aged expressions more than anything. But it's still it's what makes it market friendly. Which is a silly term and something that we kind of poo-poo, but there's a reason that it is readily consumed. It's able to have grown that is because people fucking love it.
Yeah, and if I'm at a bar and someone's like, "Hey, can I buy you a Don Julio?" I'm going to be like, "Yes,
Right.
You absolutely can." And
Yeah.
there are brands that I will say no to.
So, I'm aware. I've seen you say no.
Yeah,
I've seen you bitch about it too. Like, really, I've got to drink this. That's pretty entertaining for me, actually, because I've got a gut and I stomach pretty much anything unless it's healthy, and then I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. But if it's got alcohol in it, I'll throw it down. But I like that you have standards. So,
well, I mean, and maybe a little, standards, a little restraint. Their website.
Yeah, I have neither.
Their home splash page for Lalo has this really great overhead view of it's like a mixture of like gold and like this like really deep blue, which is actually the makeup of their bottle. And then you can see like a bunch of Vasa Veladoras on there, which I've never seen a Veladora associated with tequila. It's always associated with mezcal. So that's kind
What is a Veladora?
It's a shot glass. Essentially, it's a shot glass, but it's ridged across the entire thing on the outside, and then in the middle is a cross. And so the Vasa Veladora is what it's called, and it's just
I love those glasses.
They are so cool, and they are typically, or at least in my experience, and again, you got to be pragmatic about this, right? But in my experience, it's always been associated with mezcal. So this is the first time I'm seeing it with tequila. And then they also have some oranges in there, which to me says that this is something that you should be able to really enjoy and that you're going to want to open up your palate to. So there's like some subtle messaging there. There's also like some nuts and some chocolate there. It's a cool little image.
Yeah, so it sounds like based on those, it's meant to be consumed by people who know agave, right? Because in all the tastings, when you're doing proper tastings, you're rarely given limes, right? Because limes overpower your palate, so you're not going to have that as a chaser, but a little bit of orange dipped in a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, nuts, chocolate, cheeses, all of those come in a proper tasting, in an educated tasting, versus what I think most people associate with agave spirits.
Absolutely.
You agree?
Yeah. I mean, it's something you see, really often. I mean, I do love just the kind of the subtlety of this whole thing, and speaking to that certain type of person, without being like too. I mean, it's definitely got like a little bit of elegance to it, but it's not too pretentious. I like it. I'm gonna send these to you.
Cool.
So you can.
Yeah, I can't wait to check those out.
Okay, I'm gonna keep sipping on this lovely tequila, and we are going to jump into our stories. So, or do we have any?
No. Why don't you tell me about your classes that you've been doing? Because you just finished that course, and I've been really excited to hear more about it.
Okay. All right. So obviously that was a flawless setup for Chris.
Yeah, it was a really solid segue. you
I
know.
was about to go on to our thing, and I was like, oh shit. This is why you write things out, guys. So yes, I just finished, or last week I finished the Florida Atlantic hospitality course that they offered for free to people during the pandemic. Florida Atlantic is a school that's like close to Coral Gables. I want to believe. I want to say. I mean, they mentioned it a lot. If they're not, they mentioned it a lot. But it's a school that's known for its hospitality program. I mean, you got to think that Florida is mostly made up of tourism, right? Between all the theme parks, obviously the beaches, there's just a lot of tourism that happens there. So they have a pretty great program, and their head of their hospitality department, Peter Ritchie, or Dr. Peter Ritchie, wanted to put out this course, and the school president was on board, and it was kind of crazy how quickly it came together. And I think the last time that we had talked about this, they had 60,000 people register for it. When I completed my course and saw the last thing, they were up to 77,000 people had registered for the course. And then basically what you did was you became a student at Florida Atlantic. And so they had a series of videos that you would watch. They were interviews with people from around the industry, from every part, from HR departments to front desk managers, hotel managers, like just everything that you can think of. People who did special events. So like, let's say you were going to go in and have some sort of big conference for your company. Like you would hire so-and-so and he would do all this stuff for you. From, he would also, like, they would set up incentive trips. So let's say, you're working for a spirits company, you win a trip to Hawaii, they plan everything out for you. So it was all over the place in terms of experiences and stuff like that, which was really cool.
That's right.
And yeah. And they, so in the first part, like just kind of getting into hospitality, I want to say each interview was anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And there was 14 of those videos.
Wow.
Yeah, I think total coursework, if you watched, when you had to watch everything, was around like 25 hours, I want to say. So it was no joke.
Okay.
And there was definitely a couple parts, especially when they got into like the financials and stuff like that, because they taught you how to figure out like what your earning potential was, your occupancy rate, and stuff like that, like things that I had never and will never use again. So it's not that very, as interesting to me, but it was still kind of interesting to learn it,
I mean, you don't know. I mean,
That's true.
Especially the amount of people that you come in contact with, that you might just pull that knowledge back up out of the back of your brain,
mm-hmm.
and help them with, even if it doesn't help yourself. It might come in really handy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so, so that was really cool. And after each section, you had to take a test, and you had to get at least 80% on each test. So, so it was cool. It was, that's how they kind of like, prove that you did the course and stuff like that. Because obviously you couldn't figure out the questions if you didn't actually listen to what was going on.
What was your lowest score?
The one with the hotel financials, I really struggled with, because there was just a lot of math, and I'm just not. That's just not me.
Okay, so I've got a story. A few years ago, I was asked to apply for a job at the Mandarin Oriental in Tokyo. I was one of 6 people up for the job internationally to run their 3 bars, one of which is a Michelin star restaurant. And they sent me their application. They had like legit trigonometry and advanced algebra on this application, to which my wife, who's a teacher, mind you, for the 6th grade, but also is a lot better at math and academic math than I am, we both struggled with finding the answers. And it's not that they gave us the answers, or it wasn't like multiple choice in any way. It was just, here's the sheet, answer questions, we'll get back to you. I got offered the job. I don't know how much that math came into play though, but I'm curious if any of that probably ended up on your exam as well, or if it was just I have, or if they just wanted to see if I was smart and I probably failed. So
Well, you said you got the job offer though, right?
I did get the job. Well, it was up against five other Americans and one dude from England, and I was. It was for a 6 month stint, and I got offered the second stint. So they chose someone else above me, and then they offered me the next one, which I wasn't able to do at the time when they offered it to me. But
What a bummer.
so who knows if I got the math
Amazing.
right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you had to do like okay. You had at least to do second best. You know?
Maybe they saw my work and were like, all right, like he knows something, I guess.
Yeah, like he wouldn't be a complete disaster here.
Yeah. Anyway, so your story about hotel math, that brings me back to that. That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it was cool. I mean, it definitely, reminded me of the times I used to struggle with math back in college, and I do have to say that for those people that are taking online classes right now, whether it's for college or high school or whatever the case may be, you really
Or elementary school.
Or everybody across the board. I really feel for everybody in those positions because it is hard to learn in that environment, like because it's just really hard. So I just feel really bad for anybody who's currently dealing with that right now. Especially if you have to pay for it, and you have to pay thousands of dollars for it,
Right.
and you're getting online instructions. So that just blows. But overall, I got a ton out of the course, and I really enjoyed it. They gave me a nice little certificate too, and if I ever have to fill out a resume again, I can add that to something to my certificates point. Never been able to do that before.
Hey man, I mean, even just for posterity, I think that was pretty amazing that you did that. It's pretty cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I think it's important to always continue to learn and to learn some new stuff. So after I did that, my mom's like, "Hey, here's some more stuff," and she got me and hooked me up with that Harvard Learning Center thing that they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking a class on Buddhism now.
Cool.
Here's the kicker with the Harvard stuff. You can audit the classes and you can and all that, which is great. But if you want to be certified or get a certificate for doing it, you have to pay $50. So
good for them.
I was like, all right, I just got
that's fair.
Class, so that's.
I mean, just to get a certificate that says Harvard on it is pretty worth it.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it that way. I was more so thinking of it like, who the fuck is gonna care that I took a course on Buddhism? Like, I just thought it was interesting. It sounded interesting to me. But you're right. If I was able to put Harvard on the resume, I guess that does make the $50 maybe worth it. We'll see.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I'll ask the wife. She makes that kind of decisions for us.
That sounds smart. That's why she went to Harvard, or should have gone. Or,
totally.
Those things.
All right, let's get into headlines.
Headlines.
Pausing for effect. Heaven Hill making big announcements this week. They are going to be consolidating as much of their distribution as they possibly can with a pretty small outfit. Not sure if you've ever heard of them before. Southern Glazer Spirits.
That is so crazy. Across 39 states, they have moved their entire distribution to Southern Glacier.
So, for listeners at home, Heaven Hill has brands like Admiral Nelson, Blackheart, so not a big rum focus there, but their whiskey lineup has Black Velvet, Elijah Craig, Evan Williams, Henry McKenna, Mellow Yellow, Larceny, and then Old Fitzgerald, Parker's Heritage, Rittenhouse, Pikesville, and then a couple other fun ones, Lunazol Tequila, and then Pomegranate Liqueur, which is some of our favorites there. So they're making the transition to Southern. At least in California, they'll be moving from Young's over to Southern. So if you are a buyer, get those closeout deals. But from what I've been told, they will be given their own dedicated team.
Yeah, they're following suit like Bacardi did, and when they merged with Red Bull under Southern Glacier, and getting their own team and moving to the big boys. I mean, not like Young's is small by any means, but I think it's fair to say that Southern Glacier is the biggest of them all.
I mean, it's another big blow to Young's. Now, I think they're also somewhat in the process of getting bought out by a bigger outfit as well.
I've heard this rumor as well. Yep.
It might be more merger than buyout, but we'll see. It does make me curious though. It's like when you start to see how many brands and companies that are now being distributed by Southern, it's like I wonder where that monopoly conversation starts.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question in any industry, especially when you start talking about tech industry. But yeah, I mean, the arguments from them is always going to be that Young's still exists, JVS exists, Pack Edge exists, right? So how much of a monopoly could they possibly be, right? So
right, and there are some bigger ones if you get into like the Midwest states and stuff, and I'm totally blanking on the name of the company that was looking to join with Young's Market, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have great lawyers. They get sued all the time, so they figure it out. I think it's smart, in terms of Heaven Hill. I mean, we have a couple suppliers that have products with us, but then they have other products within their portfolio with other distributors, and I've always just thought that was so bizarre, especially within a single state to have it split up like that. So
yeah, that's always been odd to me as well.
I mean, I understand like maybe leaning on people's strengths and stuff like that, but then even when I look at some of these lineups, I'm like, well, we're really good at that. Why does this person have it? But whatever. But especially like on a national scale, like if you can consolidate as much as you can, because every state is going to be different, right? How you operate and everything like that. So if at least you can kind of be like, well, at least we're with Southern across the board, And I've had conversations with friends recently who have taken their brands to Southern, and they promise a pretty attractive package for people, and it's hard to say no to some of those numbers because they are the biggest one, and they're literally everywhere. And if you are going to get your own dedicated team, the positive there is that you don't get kind of lost in the shuffle, which I think happens to smaller brands that head there. And it's just because like they just have so many brands, especially in California.
Well, they have so many brands, and then they have so many departments as well, and so many teams. As a buyer, it's a little tough to keep up with who to order what from, especially when half of them are all from one company.
Yeah, I think one thing though that they're trying to chase. I did have this conversation with a Southern rep the other day. Was in the days that I was working with Southern through Diageo, there were deals that were available to our team, but they weren't available to the whole Southern team, which
totally
never made sense to me. But whatever. I guess you had to justify people's jobs. I guess they've moved away from that. And if you're, you have access to all of the deals, like they're all present, and they've also eliminated a lot of stuff too.
TTB is a lot to blame for that. I mean, they've really cracked down on a lot of these deals that people can do between distributor and point of sale, and they've forced a lot of these companies to get rid of those deals and make everything a lot more homogenized.
Yeah, and I don't know what this looks like, but part of that same conversation with the rep was just like, outside of just the whole COVID thing, he goes, we have some major changes coming within the next year, and I'm like, oh my god, you know,
Oh,
Captain,
totally.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited to see what this looks like. Because when you start having like the biggest gorilla in the room is like, we're going to be flexible and change, you're like, oh my god, like this is going to ripple through the entire industry.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how there's going to be massive cultural shift. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, but kind of staying in the same vein, Nova Fogo, our friends from Brazil, are going to be joining the Sazerac book.
Yeah, I was really, I think, more shocked to see this than I was to hear about Heaven Hill. This, for a long time, Novofogo being a small independent brand, at least here in California, distributed through Pack Edge, who's done a great job with them. I mean, they have pretty decent reach, but they for sure still have space to grow. And I think moving in with Sazerac is a really wise move on their part. It's a larger brand. It's still I don't know, like it rides the line. It rides the fence between being a boutique brand and being a national brand. I mean,
Well, they have
it's obviously a national brand, right? I mean, you're talking Rittenhouse, you're talking Sazerac, um, but
and Fireball.
they have and Fireball.
And that's not.
That's fair. That's fair.
Put that elephant in the corner.
But they, I mean, a lot of their brands tend to be considered at least boutique brands, right? So getting on board with them, I think their exposure is going to be exponentially more, as well as their distribution now, their potential, and the people who are going to be selling them. They're going to get a lot more play.
Yeah, imagine the situation where you have to buy 17 cases of Novofogo to get your Pappy Van Winkle now.
I would gladly do that versus Fireball. And I'm sure Dragos is probably pitching that himself right now as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So they also have so they have that stuff. They have the Buffalo Trace, marks. Looks like they have the Barton's line. Let's see. Their rum really needed this shot of adrenaline. That is a plastic bottle collection right there.
What's in that collection, Drew?
You know what some of it is. Calypso rum. I know I've seen that a few places.
Yeah, I've seen Calypso.
They do have the 51 Kasasha in there.
Sure.
So I wonder how long that will last. Let's see.
Well, that's a well brand, so it's entirely different marketing.
Right,
again. Yeah.
They have Glenfarclas. They claim to still have Penderyn, so this has not been updated recently.
Gotcha. For those who don't know, Drew slings Penderyn.
Dude, we crush with that stuff now.
That stuff is freaking delicious. So
that's really, really cool. So yeah, I mean, we have some good buddies that work with Novofogo, so we're excited for them.
Little factoid here: the very first bottle sold at Good Bottle was a bottle of Penderyn.
That is true.
Yep,
it is true. It was the Portwood.
It was the Portwood. Yeah.
We gotta take a picture of that. Put it up on the wall. It's like this was the first. Started it all. It's like when people put $1 up.
We have our dollar Scotch tape to our wall.
There you go. See,
we should probably get it framed, but I feel like the Scotch tape is more our vibe.
Definitely. I'll get you like a Xerox copy of a picture of a bottle of Portwood. And that would
Perfect.
be-
And we'll just tape one over the other.
Yeah. You know, I think anytime though that you do see a brand like Novafogo, who there's such a huge emphasis on sustainability, and then there's also just limits to what they can produce, right? So much of the area surrounding their distillery is like protected land. If they can't mess with anything, and if they do, it's like you can put like once every few years. So it's
Yeah, they have to apply to cut down a tree.
right. And so
Yeah.
I just, I just think anytime that you go to a bigger brand, and as you had mentioned earlier, sometimes um, that's just about distribution. That's just about a bigger reach. But I mean, I always just feel like there's more expectations that come with that, and it's harder to have that conversation and kind of being like, no, we can't produce this because there just literally isn't enough of it, and sometimes that falls on deaf ears when you get into like the bigger companies. Not saying that that's what Sazerac is. I mean, they're awesome. They do a really, really great job. But that's just, I can't help but to think that way when
Yeah, that's certainly warranted. And knowing the owner of this company, at least the little bit that I do, uh, he is a very intelligent man, and my guess is that he has taken all that into consideration. He definitely did not make this move blindly,
yeah.
right? Like he this was a calculated decision, and I'm relatively impressed by it.
I mean, it's definitely again, if you look at what they have brands wise, I mean the whiskey portfolio is pretty untouchable. But there's a lot that's left to desired when it comes to some of their other offerings,
Sure.
in terms of just like really high quality craft products. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having well products and things that are affordable and can go in drinks with no problem. But, sometimes you're just kind of like, hey, let's get something, just a little bit craftier and stuff. And again, I might be looking at a website that's like painfully old, but, yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot here that I would want to drink outside of their American whiskey portfolio.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so good luck, Novafogo. And then our last news story is actually something that I feel very close to, and that is the growth of French rosé wine.
Do you want to explain why you feel close to that?
Because I go to your shop and I say, give me all the French stuff.
This is also a new phenomenon for you, though, which I've been really impressed with. Even when I tell you to decant something, your response is always what?
Just put it in my belly.
I'm going to let it decant.
It'll decant in my belly.
It'll decant in my belly.
Yeah.
Which makes me cringe, but also makes me laugh. Like, I feel like you're playing yourself when I tell you this, but I also really respect it. So,
well, listen, okay, I will definitely jump right into it when it comes to drinking the wine, but eventually that third and fourth glass, those are pretty decanted, so I'm getting the experience.
That's not true, man.
But yeah, so we have
especially not at the velocity in which you drink wine.
I know. I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, how do we not have any wine? I just want wine. Like, oh yeah, drink it all. It's bad. But okay, so you brought in LBV Imports, which is owned and ran by Kelly Babineau's close friend of yours. I'm developing my relationship with her, but she's going to be on my virtual happy hour. I'm really excited about it. But she brings all these French wines, and so that's where it kind of started for me, where I was like, just give me all the French wines.
Yeah, she has this amazing boutique collection. She was actually the first when I opened Good Bottle. I ordered everything that she had in stock in her catalog to supply my shelves because I knew that it was dope. I knew that it fit our um, our MO, and I knew that if I were to sell it, and I tasted all of it, mind you, but it meant that I didn't have to pick and choose when I was getting started, and that I could concentrate my picking and choosing somewhere else.
Yeah,
So I
and
brought in literally everything that she had in her in her warehouse at the time.
yeah, and so she did a really great job. And so as of recently, when the buying first started, it was more winter time, so I was definitely, and I drink reds year round, but definitely heavier on the reds thing. And then I think in my previous two trips, it's been the white wines and the rosés and stuff like that. And the rosés from France, like, I mean, they are just, there's just so much more body to them. They are they have this beautiful complexity, but at the same time, it has that brightness, refreshing Christmas that you want out of a rosé, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and I've just really been enjoying them. So when you sent me this article, it's basically talking about how, despite the tariffs, which, remember when the tariffs were like the biggest part of our show? Like, remember that?
Yeah. Well, we dedicated like 4 or 5 episodes to
Like,
that.
we're like the tariffs; those are so horrible. And it's like,
But you know what? They still exist. So
they still exist, and that's like the crazy thing, right? Is that
yeah.
you have this enormous tax that's still being levied against single malts, single malt whiskeys, and
French wines,
French wines, and other items.
blue
And so,
jeans.
but now there's COVID, so there's bigger fish to fry.
I guess so.
But yeah, so they're seeing, despite these tariffs, like, people are buying more French products, and they're seeing this increase of 2.6%, which equals out to quite a bit. And then the main driver, and I think it's really, I mean, for myself as someone who enjoys wine but can definitely get into the bougie side of it, it's the $10 to $13 offerings. And I think maybe that's where I was caught off guard when I first got turned on to the French wine. I was like, wait a minute, I thought all of this was supposed to be expensive. And you can really find some quality, affordable bottles. I don't think I've gone as low as $10, but I'm definitely in that like 15 to 20 range. I'm buying a lot of those bottles, and it's really, really great stuff. So if you haven't jumped into the French wine rosés, especially this time of year, I mean, go get it, girl, because it's
well, your particular favorite is one of mine as well, and that's the Archambault, which is 100% rosé of Cabernet, which is not something we typically see here in the U.S.
Because are we usually seeing Pinots for rosé?
I feel like, at least here in Sacramento and Northern California, we see a lot of Grenache and Zinfandel, and some of those fruitier rosés. I have been having a lot more people bring me Pinots, but I think that's coming down to me training my sales staff, so that way they know what I'm looking for, because those tend to be a little bit more fruity. Pinot Noirs tend to have a little bit more earth and funk to them, and require a more of a deft touch in creating that wine. I feel. I'm sure someone out there is rolling their eyes at me, but that's my perception.
I mean, it's funny. Earlier tonight, doing the virtual happy hour, I had Jay Vanny on from Broken Shed Vodka.
Yeah,
and he is actually a level 2 sommelier.
He is. I did know that.
And I thought that was super interesting. And we were just talking about the process and things like that. And I've always, like, actually one of my goals this year was to complete the level 1 somm and then look into level 2. And obviously everything's on hold right now, so we'll see what happens. But it was, when you're here talking about the different terroirs and stuff like that, and part of the level 2 sommelier test is a 10 glass blind taste where you have to identify the grape and the region.
Right. Yeah.
And
that is really fucking hard. I don't think people understand just how hard that is.
I think you're wrong. I think people fully understand how hard that is because I think about it. I'm like, how the fuck do you even do that?
I think
Um,
most people just drink wine and go, yeah, that's yummy. I don't think
well, I know,
anybody
but
thinks like, oh, could I tell you what this is?
right. Well, I mean, I think you're right about that, but I think if you prompt them and be like, hey, if you can you identify this, they'd be like, hell no, that's some crazy stuff. And then if you get to like the level 3 som, that's when you start getting into like vintages, right? And
Right.
which
Yeah.
to me is just like,
Yeah.
and you got to think about like the amount of
That's actually what. So
wine
what
you
you're
have to
talking
drink.
about, you're talking about your professional wine server. You're talking about that's the quote unquote level one. Uh, then you have your Chris, what is it? You have your I forget what the level two is called. Then you have your advanced psalm, and then you have your master psalm. So level one isn't even considered a sommelier yet, and that's because so many people were taking the exam they had to split it up, and very few people were advancing on to their advanced psalm. So what they did is they broke it into a fourth level. So you have to take that intro just to be a professional wine server, which is your basic knowledge. That level two that you're talking about is that it's evading me. But that's when you actually got to add the sommelier label onto your title.
That's cool. I mean, and he was talking about the process and what they would. He had like a study group, and the study group basically was responsible for everybody would bring a bottle from a certain like region or whatever. So they would say, okay, if we're going to do, Burgundy, everybody bring something, a red from Burgundy, but just make sure they're all different,
Right, right.
um, which you're just like, man, that's a cool study group. Like, wow, I really want to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So in one of these days, we're not going to have small children anymore, and maybe we'll have time to do stuff like that again.
Oh, you're adorable.
Yeah, we'll have some other stressful thing. But yeah, I mean, so to get back, like try to get back to whatever the hell we were talking about was these the despite the tariffs, which again is just crazy. French wine sales are going up, and I don't know what you can contribute that to. I mean, is it? I mean, again, it's affordable. Your main driver is a $10 to $13, so you're not breaking the bank to do it. But why are people opting
I think it's
for?
summer. I think it's summer. I think it's affordability, and I think for some reason it's accessibility. People are able to get their hands on it probably a little bit more often. I think we're starting to see a little bit move of away from the Californication of wine into more of a global understanding of what wine is.
I wonder the if the tax is actually benefiting the French wine in this sense. And bear with me on this one, but if you go into a wine shop and you're not necessarily, you're not an aficionado, but you're not looking for $2 chuck. Not to knock $2 chuck, but you just want something a little bit nicer, right? If you were looking at rosé bottles from France a year ago, and those things were ringing up at $8-9, right? But then you saw like a California rosé that was maybe at 13-14. Okay, you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't get a sub $10 bottle. It's got to be crap, right? Well, now with this increase, now that bottle's just a little bit more expensive and puts it into a different price bracket. Does it change the way that a buyer looks at it? Because it's not sub $10 anymore. It's just a little bit more expensive. It's not crazy expensive, and it's from France. And now it sounds a little bit, oh, well, that's where wine's from, quote unquote. Even though we know it's not true. But there you go. Do you think
I
that
mean
would
that
be a factor?
absolutely. I mean that is. I'm sure you must have covered this in your course that you just took, but that psychology is rampant across the food and beverage industry. There's a reason why on restaurant menus and bar menus you see something that costs very, very little, and something that costs significantly more than kind of everything else. Your two most sold items are going to be the item that costs just above the lowest and just under the most, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't want to get the cheapest, A, because they don't value it, and B, because they don't want to be seen as cheap. Also, the one just under the most expensive, they don't want to spend that money, but they want to be seen kind of spending money.
You just described every wine bottle purchase I've ever made at a restaurant, ever.
You're welcome.
It's like you were peering into my soul.
Hopefully some of those were good too.
No, and most of the time they are. I mean, obviously I understand different grape varietals and I certainly enjoy different regions, but you know, there's sometimes where, you know, I look at those wine menus and I'm just like, good Lord, like how are there this many different wines? And you know, my wife will always kind of default to me. She's like, well, you know this more than I do. And then unless she's just kind of like, you know, I want to drink a white or I want to drink a red tonight. But then I get this list and I'm like, shit, now I'm responsible for making a decision based on completely arbitrary personal rules of like,
Well,
not
yeah,
the cheapest, and then, but also not being like, well, we're not going to walk out here with a, you know, $500 bill. So,
yeah.
you know, but yeah, that pretty much sums up my wine for the most part.
Yeah, I you know, and I mean, people have studied this. It's an art form and it's a science. You know, it's not. There's a lot of give and take, and you and I have lots of conversation about my own list and my own thinking inside of my own shop and the things that I struggle with.
Well, there was a conversation that I had with more, you know, kind of a wine expert, and we were talking about how any bottle on a wine list is essentially negotiable, right? If you're well versed in it enough, you know. So if you go in and you see, you know, X bottle for $100, and you notice on the back bar they're still sitting on like 12 of them or whatever. I mean, my buddy was telling me, he's like, dude, you can go in there and you can probably offer him $75 cash to get it. Like, take that bottle right now or buy a couple, but get them at a discount because you know it's good, but you don't want to pay 100 because you know how much it really should cost. And I was blown away by that.
Yeah,
and then I've like confirmed that with multiple sommeliers. They're like, yeah, we have some flexibility on bottles. And I'm like, what? Like, why am I making these decisions?
Yeah, that holds up. Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I mean, people make purchases for their wine menu based on their own knowledge, right? And sort of the curse of knowledge is that the more you know, the less you're in touch with everybody else. But if you're on, you can't operate on the level that everybody else is operating on and make those purchases because then you don't know what the fuck you're doing, right? So it's sort of a catch-22 because you have to know what the fuck you're doing in order to choose a good list, but it requires some insight and some empathy to the consuming public in order to give them something that they're going to enjoy, both in terms of price, something that's going to be attractive to them, both visually, you know, their taste experience, and then also be something that they feel comfortable with ordering just based on a name.
Yeah.
You know, and then that same thinking kind of stretches over into retail as well.
That'd be really interesting to find somebody who studies this stuff and see if we can get them either on the podcast or
the podcast
or the happy hour.
Yeah, it'd be great.
And eventually, guys, I'm going to get Chris to release some of those happy hours on our podcast because there are some good ones.
There definitely are some good ones.
And there are some people that just like mind-blowing information, but they're long. So make sure you plan those road trips for it. Okay, so to wrap things up tonight, we have another update on a story that just doesn't seem to want to go away for us. But South Africa has now opened up wine exports.
Yay!
And You actually got some South uh, South
South
African wine,
African wine. Yeah, I
right?
did. I made a very specific effort to bring some South African wine in. And while I am stoked to be able to do so, I'm like, God damn it, now I can't tell this story to help me sell it.
Yeah, you definitely lost that opportunity. So what's really funny about that is so you buy some South African wine this week after we have 2 weeks of South African conversation. I was introduced to a South African agave spirit this
Yeah,
past week.
I was laughing at the comments on your social media threads of people being so upset by the fact that there was a South African agave spirit.
I mean, it was definitely oh man. Um, yeah, I think there's people who when you start getting into niche items, okay, so let's say mezcal, right, and you become a quote unquote defender of it, you start to take these things as like personal like attacks and stuff like that, and I think that's unfortunate because obviously Mexico doesn't have exclusive rights to agave production. Agave grows all over the world. um, Now, I mean, I understand wanting to protect mezcal, like the trademark and stuff like that, but yeah, it's always interesting to kind of see what weird spirits like this will start in terms of conversation, and that one definitely started a pretty contentious conversation at certain points.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
this is nothing new. I mean, the French were extremely defensive over quality wines in the 1970s. They could not believe that quality wine came from California,
right.
and now we have it coming from literally all over the world. So, I mean, this is not a new phenomenon.
Yeah, and and I I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but one of my biggest takeaways from doing all these virtual happy hours and talking with people from all over the industry, all over the world, and people who are really influential in our industry too, is that at a certain point you just got to get to that place where you're like, does it taste good? Okay, drink
Yeah,
it. That's what
yeah,
matters.
yeah.
Um, and with this one, I went up to my buddy's shop and he was like, I have this open, you want to try it? I was like, absolutely, I do. It's super light. It's approachable. It tastes like it was done the right way. And I've since talked to people about it who have seen this production. They're like, yeah, the guy doesn't mess around. Like, he takes it very, very seriously. He also apparently makes really good wine. So
That's really cool. I mean,
yeah,
there's really something to be said, and I think that there's coming back onto your point of does it taste good? Drink it. The more that you know, and the more you consume, the more that you educate your palate, whether or not you personally like something is very different as to whether or not something is good, right?
totally.
and
Yeah.
and that's something that I always try to bring across in my educations and my tastings and my consulting is remove yourself from this equation, right? You can put that back into the equation later, but let's first discuss and experience what this is, and let's talk about the quality of it and what you're getting from it first, because honestly, any good bartender is going to tell you this. When you walk up to my bar and you ask me what I like to drink, that doesn't matter at all because I'm not you, right? Like, you don't know me, I don't know you. So when I tell you I like 3 shots of overproof tequila, you go, "Oh, bro, not that." I go, "Well, you asked, right?" That has nothing to do with the equation. So, but being able to understand a quality booze is really where the education starts to take you.
Yeah, and I think for myself and my own journey, it's like I if even if I don't like something, you try to think about it in terms of, okay, well, can this sell? Can we do this? Can we do that? I mean, the
Right.
rocks tequila is a good example of that. Or like there's other tequilas that I've had that they're just not for my palate, and it's just kind of like, oh, it's not for me, but that is for somebody else. And
Yeah.
and uh, and I think I've like anytime I take issue with brands at this point, I try to make it based on production or misleading marketing or something like that. Like if something just doesn't taste good, but they kind of do things all the right way, like, okay, that's fine. Like whatever. That's just not for me. That's the case with a lot of mezcals for me.
Yeah.
Is, they're doing it all these traditional ways, and it's awesome that they're doing it that way. And then I try and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I mean, personally, I think it sucks, but whatever. I mean, they're feeding their family.
Yeah, but we're jaded. Also, we have such access. It's just such amazing shit all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so it's what I call the 1,000 thread count effect. If you sleep on bed sheets that have 1,000 thread count, going back to wool sucks. It doesn't mean that wool sheets suck. It just means that all of a sudden you've experienced 1,000 thread count sheets.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this about like the South African agave spirit. It's, if this was something from Oaxaca, there's no way I would have gotten it. No way.
Sure.
Because it's a pretty easy drinking agave, and there's not a ton of complexity to it or anything like that. But it's like, this is from South Africa. It has dope packaging. It is a truly unique product, and something that I want to have on my back bar, and that when I am doing mezcal flights and stuff like that, I will be pouring some of this as well, because this is just super interesting.
Yeah, and nothing happens within a vacuum, right? Like, so the fact that it comes from South Africa matters, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing a blind tasting, sure, fine. That's all well and good. But you have to take into consideration all the other facts that surround it.
Right. Yeah, and it has to make sense in terms of those comparisons, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that helps you put things into context. That doesn't mean that just automatically makes it good, but it offers you context.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. So in the very roundabout way, you can get South African wine again. So, which is, again, that was an $8.9 million industry a year, and it was growing.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? I'm not even upset about it. The wine that I brought in, I am super excited to sell.
Yeah.
I'm just sad that I don't get that Sarah McLachlan moment.
When do you get it?
It should be arriving on Thursday.
Damn. Okay. I was like, I'm going to be around tomorrow, so I was going to pick something up, but looks like we'll have to wait.
You mean I get to see you a little bit more? Aww.
You know what? I would spend more time in downtown Sac if it wasn't so goddamn weird down there right now.
It's pretty strange. Strange.
So, gotta pick and choose my spots, buddy. Well, with that, I mean, I got nothing left. You got anything?
I'm sure I do, but
we're just going to talk about it next week.
I've had too much Benedictine right now. So,
I mean, who knows where it's from? I don't know. Hopefully we get lots of corrections this week.
We keep asking people to reach out to us, and no one ever does.
Well, you know what they do is they text. I mean, I don't know if you get this, but like I get text messages from people about stuff.
Oh, I don't. They must find you more approachable than they find me.
Maybe, which is weird if you think about it, but.
I'll take that as a compliment. People think I'm a big deal, and that seems accurate.
Yeah, I get positive feedback. I really do, and I think that's what keeps me motivated to keep doing this and enjoying the process. And I'm putting out an awful lot of content right now, and I'm getting a little exhausted with it. But this is fun, and this will continue to be fun. And I think what we need to do is we gotta get a guest back in here. We gotta get like. Brad and Lindsay were great last week, but we only got them at the end.
That's true. Yeah.
We
need someone to read some headlines. God damn it.
Yeah, read some headlines, get some thoughts. On the industry and.
Oh man, now you're gonna get hit up a lot. People are like, bro, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Well, they gotta listen first. So.
that was a clear cut at Travis Baker and Brian McGregor.
Yeah.
So.
they start listening, we'll have them on. But all right, man, that's all I got for you.
All right, homie. Well, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Cheers.
Cheers, bud.
The Good Bottle Podcast was recorded at the Good Bottle Shop in Sacramento, California. Music is by Leon Moore and Chase Moore. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Good Bottle Podcast.